looking back now from, your complete understanding of diabetes and all the education you've been through, was there ever anyone at the rugby club that you were at that ever, picked up on that, you were losing so much weight? Because I don't think it was just a small amount of weight either. Like, you went from mid 80 kilos to like late 60 kilos. And like, I don't know what position you were playing at the time, but it must have been, in some people's mind that maybe something was happening, whether you had like an eating disorder or something was happening there with your health. Did anyone ever comment on that? Or is there any...
So what we had is, at the time, the coach would say, so we have our trainings, 2 to 3 times a week. We have 1 game a week. And then on the off days, it was our responsibility to do our strength and conditioning program. And he would always ask, who did their strength and conditioning this week? And like everyone, some guys would put up their hands, some would say, no, I missed it for whatever reason. And he thought I was skipping all of them, right? Because like you said, I was walking around, before all of this happened, 85-ish kilos. And I was playing fullback. So I didn't have to be a huge guy, but speed and agility was all that I really needed to be good at. And I was really quite skinny towards the end of this season. And he's pointing his finger. He's like, you're not doing a strength conditioning. I'm like, man, I swear I'm doing it. I'm doing every session. I'm just so sore. I'm not recovering, but I'm still doing them, and I'm eating. And he's like, well, you got to eat more. You've lost, So coach knew. But like I said, when you're in this position, like when you have a pancreas that isn't working, it doesn't matter how much you eat, you're going to lose weight. You could eat 10,000 calories a day, and most of them are going to pass through you because your body doesn't have the ability to store them in the cells. They build up in the bloodstream. Kidneys start to work to urinate the glucose out. So it didn't matter that I was eating more and more. I was just going to keep losing weight. So yeah, when I stepped on the scale at the clinic on the day that I was diagnosed, I think I was 68 kilos. So
wow.
It's a lot of weight. Yeah, from 85 to 68. Didn't feel good. And also I remember there was actually a day that, so part of my ex-phys placement, as you would know, I did the cardiac rehab, sort of metabolic thing, and then I did the physiotherapy. So I was in a physio, and I remember we were doing like an anatomy chart, and part of the thing was I was using my own body in a mirror to look at the chart, look at, say, the deltoid contract or the ab or pec, whatever it was. And I remember I took off my shirt. I was watching myself in the mirror, and I was looking next to the skeleton, and I'm like, what is that? Like, where's my muscles? Like, I was so skinny. I just sort of like shocked me. I saw myself in the mirror looking so skinny, and I sort of looked at this skeleton next to me, and I'm like, we don't look that dissimilar. So yes, it was, I mean, part of it is, again, we laugh about it now, but at the time it's pretty scary stuff. Yeah.
And the coach, had you trying to build up. There's no doubt you were force feeding yourself, trying to put on weight, and, you're juggling a busy, I guess, training schedule with your placements, with potentially outside work, surfing or whatever it is on the weekends. You would have been forgiven for thinking that, I'm just, the amount of energy output, the amount of work I'm doing, I'm probably not getting enough sleep. That's contributing to my tiredness. The amount of times going to the bathroom, I'm just drinking heaps of water, and fueling my body. And I can imagine, especially being at your young age, it's really easy for someone like yourself to probably just overlook a lot of those signs and symptoms. And I think it's great that we can talk about this now, because if there's anyone out there that obviously has been either diagnosed with diabetes or is experiencing any of these signs and symptoms, and they can go and get themselves checked out.
Yeah, you tend to justify. I was like, yeah, of course I'm thirsty. I'm sweating all day. I play sport, and I'm, going to the gym and all this. Of course I'm tired. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to drive to Sutherland for this placement. I'm at the hospital all day, and then I'm driving. It makes sense that I'm tired. And then you just start to justify all of these symptoms, when really you forget what it feels like to be, feeling amazing, because it's a slow burn. And when you get to that critical point where it's starting to, like, the disease is actually manifesting, you don't even remember how it felt to be energized, strong, fit, all of that stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's a good point.
And the funny thing is about diabetes signs and symptoms, which we will talk about, is it can go the other way too. So you can feel like you have an excessive amount of energy, can go the other way where you actually gain weight as well from the amount of circulating blood sugar. It can go the other way in terms of a lot of those signs and symptoms. So it is, and I'm sure you'll talk about this to the listeners, but depending on what type of diabetes you have, and how it can present very differently in different people and different diagnoses.